Tony Romo was one of the most frustratingly good quarterbacks we've ever seen. And I mean that in the best and worst way possible. He could make a throw that looked like pure art, and then the next play, he'd rip your heart out. Cowboys fans know the feeling, the high, the hope, the heartbreak. For over a decade, Tony Romo carried America's team and its endless expectations on his back. Loved by some, mocked by others. But now that we've had time to look back, nearly a decade after he last played, it's time to ask the question that never really got answered. How good was Tony Romo actually? Tony Romo retired with more passing yards than Troy Aikman, more touchdowns than Roger Staubach, and a higher career passer rating than both. He was a four-time Pro Bowler and the king of the fourth quarter comebacks. He also never made it past the divisional round, never played in a Super Bowl, and, if you listen to the haters, was the guy who fumbled the snap on a chip shot field goal in Seattle. So, was he a choker, a stat padder, or one of the most underrated quarterbacks of his era? Let's break it down. Before we continue, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning. Tony Romo's story begins far from the bright lights of Dallas. Born in San Diego, raised in Burlington, Wisconsin, small-town America. He wasn't a five-star recruit. He wasn't even a blip on most NFL radars. At Eastern Illinois, the same small school that produced Sean Payton and Jimmy Garoppolo, Romo redefined what overlooked talent could look like. Three-time All-Ohio Valley Conference selection, the 2002 Walter Payton Award, given to the best player in Division I AA. Still, the 2003 NFL Draft came and went, and his phone never rang. That's right, undrafted, unchosen. Until one team, the Dallas Cowboys, gave him a shot. The Cowboys signed him for a $10,000 bonus and a handshake. Then Coach Bill Parcells saw something, a calm pocket presence, a flicker of anticipation. He made Romo the third-string quarterback behind Quincy Carter and Chad Hutchinson. He spent 3 years holding a clipboard behind Quincy Carter, Vinny Testaverde, and Drew Bledsoe. He was so anonymous, he once lost a preseason quarterback competition to Chad Hutchinson. If you remember Chad Hutchinson, you're either a diehard Cowboys fan or his mom. In 2006, with the Cowboys floundering, Bill Parcells, one of the toughest coaches in NFL history, benched then quarterback Drew Bledsoe and finally gave Romo a shot. Romo's first real action came on Monday Night Football against the Giants. He threw for 227 yards and 2 touchdowns and never looked back. He threw a couple picks, yeah, but also showed flashes of something special. In his first start, Romo threw for over 200 yards against the Panthers. 2 weeks later, he outdueled Peyton Manning and handed the Colts their first loss of the season. From there, Romo took over the starting job and never looked back. By 2007, he had the Cowboys sitting at 13-3, throwing for over 4,200 yards and 36 touchdowns, a franchise record at the time. By the end of the season, he was a Pro Bowler. A star was born. Let's talk stats because Romo's numbers are criminally underrated. In 156 career games, he threw for 34,108 yards, 248 touchdowns, and 117 interceptions. His career passer rating? 97.1. For context, that's higher than Brett Favre, Kurt Warner, and Big Ben. It's higher than Eli Manning, who has 2 Super Bowl rings and a Hall of Fame campaign built on beating Tom Brady. In 2014, Romo led the NFL in the following passing categories: 113.2 passer rating, 69.9% completion percentage, and 8.5 yards per attempt. That 2014 season, by the way, was one of the most efficient in NFL history. 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and a 12-4 record. He finished third in MVP voting, behind Aaron Rodgers and J.J. Watt. If not for a certain Dez caught it moment, Romo might have finally gotten his shot at a Super Bowl. Advanced metrics paint an even clearer picture. According to Pro Football Reference's adjusted net yards per attempt, ANY, Romo ranks 9th all-time among QBs with at least 1,500 attempts, just behind Drew Brees and ahead of Kurt Warner. In expected points, added per play, EPA/play, during his prime, 2009 to 2014, Romo consistently ranked top 5. He wasn't just good, he was elite, hidden in plain sight. The dude went from undrafted nobody to Pro Bowler in less than a span of 2 years, putting up monster numbers. But for every highlight came a heartbreak. Let's address the elephant in the room, the idea that Romo was a choker. The narrative started with the infamous botched snap in the 2006 wildcard game against Seattle. Romo, serving as the holder for a potential game-winning field goal, mishandled the snap on a 19-yard field goal that would have given Dallas the lead with 1 minute 19 seconds left. He tried to run it in, got tackled, and the Cowboys lost. The snap comes in low, he drops it, tries to run it in, tackled at the 2-yard line. Season over. That play became Romo's legacy for a lot of fans. Never mind that he'd just saved the Cowboys season weeks earlier. To most people, that one mistake became his entire story. But here's the thing. Romo was actually one of the best clutch quarterbacks of his era. In the fourth quarter of one-score games, Romo's passer rating was 102.9, one of the best ever. He led 25 game-winning drives and 30 fourth-quarter comebacks. More than Joe Montana, more than Troy Aikman. That's not choking, that's clutch. In 2011, he played with a broken rib and a punctured lung, led a comeback win over the 49ers, and then played the next week. Behind porous defenses, inconsistent lines, and a carousel of coordinators, Romo kept the Cowboys alive. From 2007 to 2015, Dallas ranked in the bottom half of the league in defensive DVOA 7 times. Even with his defense gave up 30 points a game, his special teams blew coverages, and questionable play calling when the moment got tight, every Sunday, Romo gave them a shot. It's easy to blame the quarterback, especially when he plays for the Cowboys, the most overanalyzed team in football. But if Tony Romo had the same supporting cast that, say, Big Ben or Russell Wilson had, he'd have a Super Bowl ring, maybe 2. The playoff record? 2-4. Not great, but let's look closer. In the 2007 divisional round, Romo's final pass to Patrick Creighton was dropped. Wide open, would have been a touchdown. In 2009, the Cowboys lost to the Vikings, who were a juggernaut that year. In 2014, Dez caught it, but the refs said he didn't. If that call goes the other way, Dallas likely beats Green Bay. They go to Seattle. Maybe Romo's entire legacy changes. Romo was rarely the reason the Cowboys lost in the playoffs. More often, he was the only reason they were there. Let's talk about what Romo had to work with. Early in his career, he had Terrell Owens and Jason Witten, 2 Hall of Fame talents. But after T.O. left, Romo's best receivers were Miles Austin, Dez Bryant for a few years, and a rotating cast of Laurent Robinsons and Kevin Ogletrees. The running game? Romo had Marion Barber and Felix Jones, but never a true bell cow back until DeMarco Murray's breakout in 2014, and later Ezekiel Elliott in his twilight years. The defense? From 2010 to 2013, the Cowboys' defense ranked 31st, 16th, 24th, and 26th in points allowed. In 2013, they gave up 415 yards per game, the worst in franchise history. Compare that to Tom Brady, who always had a top 10 defense, or Peyton Manning, who had Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Edgerrin James. Romo was often asked to win shootouts with one hand tied behind his back. Great quarterbacks often rise alongside great systems. For Romo, that system was in flux. He worked under 5 different offensive coordinators and 3 head coaches. Bill Parcells, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett. The offensive line was a complete mess, one of the worst offensive lines in football for half his career. Romo was out there doing magic tricks behind collapsing pockets, sidearm lasers, off-platform bombs, broken play touchdowns. He made backyard football look professional. He was like a magician who had to pull a rabbit out of his helmet every Sunday just to keep the team alive. And somehow, he usually did. When the offensive line finally stabilized, with Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin, Dallas became a powerhouse again. But by then, Romo's body was breaking down. Back injuries, collapsed lungs, broken ribs. Each comeback took a little more from him. By 2016, a rookie named Dak Prescott had taken over. And just like that, the Tony Romo era ended not with a farewell tour. No drama. Romo played in the golden age of quarterbacks. Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, Big Ben. He was never the best, but he was always in the conversation. From 2006 to 2014, Romo ranked top 5 in passer rating, yards per attempt, and completion percentage. He was a top 10 quarterback for a decade and a top 5 guy at his peak. If Romo played today, with modern rules protecting quarterbacks and more creative offenses, he'd be putting up numbers that would make fantasy owners drool. He was mobile, accurate, and had a gunslinger mentality that made every game exciting. Let's play the what-if game, because Romo's career is full of them. What if the Cowboys had a competent defense in 2007, 2011, or 2013? What if Dez's catch had stood in 2014? What if the Cowboys had invested in the offensive line earlier? Romo's career was defined by near misses and bad luck. He was good enough to win a Super Bowl, but the stars never aligned. That's not entirely his fault. But Romo's story didn't end when he left the field. It simply moved to the booth. In 2017, he joined CBS Sports and changed sports broadcasting forever. When Romo joined CBS as a color commentator, people realized what Cowboys fans had known for years. The guy was a genius. He wasn't guessing plays. He was reading coverages like a quarterback mid-drive. He'd call out what the offense was about to do before the ball was even snapped. His ability to predict plays before they happened wasn't a gimmick. It was the product of years of film study, pre-snap reads, and obsessive detail. He didn't just call games, he taught them. He turned football commentary into chess analysis, and it made everyone finally see just how smart he was all along. To fans, to casual viewers, even to players, in many ways, Tony Romo finally got the respect his playing career never fully received. So, how good was Tony Romo actually? He was a top 10 quarterback for a decade, a top 5 guy at his peak, and the best undrafted quarterback since Kurt Warner. He was a gunslinger who made the Cowboys relevant again after the post-Aikman wilderness. He was clutch, tough, and played through pain that would have sent most guys to the IR. He was also human. He made mistakes. He threw some bad picks. He fumbled a snap. He never won a ring. But if you judge quarterbacks by more than just Super Bowls, Romo's career stacks up with anyone not named Brady, Manning, or Breeze. And let's be honest, he's the best color commentator in football. If you don't like Romo in the booth, you probably don't like puppies or pizza. Let's be real, Tony Romo is the king of the almost. He almost made the Super Bowl. He almost won MVP. He almost got through a season without a back injury. He almost made Cowboys fans forget about the 90s. But you know what? Almost is a lot better than never. And for a guy who started as an undrafted free agent, almost is pretty damn impressive. Plus, Romo is the only quarterback in NFL history who could throw a pick six, then come back and throw a 60-yard bomb to win the game, and then break down the play on CBS the next week like he's reading your mind. That's talent. So, how good was Tony Romo actually? He was better than you remember, better than his playoff record suggests, and better than most quarterbacks who have ever played the game. He wasn't the GOAT, but he was a lot closer to that conversation than many give him credit for. And in an era defined by quarterback greatness, that's saying something. If you're still calling Romo a choker, you're missing the point. He was a baller, a leader, and the reason the Cowboys were relevant for a decade. He deserves more respect than he gets. And if you don't believe me, go watch the 2014 season again. Just maybe skip the Dez caught it part if you're a Cowboys fan. What do you think? Is Romo a Hall of Famer? Where does he rank among the quarterbacks of his generation? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.